tutorial on how to make drawing shapes in Scratch and how to do a nested loop. So if you have students here, your voices may be on if you answer questions, but not your picture. You're safe. All right, so we're going to go to Create. We're going to label it Drawing Shapes. If you are doing a new one, you called it Drawing Shapes yesterday, you can call it Drawing Shapes Part 2, however you want to do it. It won't blend with your other one, but you know what, for fun, we'll say nested loop on here also, since we did not do that yesterday. So I'll pull that down when you guys look at it. So first thing I'm going to do is, you can keep the Scratch Cat if you want, otherwise find a new sprite, but we've got to make him tiny. This is going to be about our shapes, not the Scratch character. I just made him 25, so whatever you want to do, just make him smaller. And I'm just moving him up here because we're going to do a variety of shapes on the page, but it really can be everywhere because we're going to be able to erase anything we do also. So I just permanently changed his size down here to 25. All right. A couple more minutes. Time to scratch. Now, if you choose something else, the other day I was using the dragon like this. He's really big. I had to literally get him down to I think 15, bless you, to make him small enough. And he was still a little borderline big. So this is to give you an idea. If you're going to, like that, if you decide to use a different sprite, I'm talking tiny like this. And we saw how large he was at first. If I could go up to 13. So your size here, sometimes you can just go 25 and it's small enough. Sometimes you can go bigger. If you use the baseball or soccer ball, something like that, you won't go as small. All right. So, and then I just want you to move your sprite wherever you want him to be. So I'm going to go with the upper left corner. So normally when we do our events, we start it with click the green flag or something, but we're not going to do that. So come over here to events. We're going to use the one that says when space key is pressed, but we're going to be changing this to different ones. So I'm going to drag that over. We're going to do one of our 2D shapes. How about we just go ahead and we'll start with a square today. So change the space bar key to the letter S, since it's a square. I wish we could actually change the name altogether and actually give it, but this is all controlled by the letter. An S for square, I'm sorry, an S. And then we're going to go to motion, which is our blue blocks, because this is where it's going to tell us where XY location our sprite is. So mine is going to be different than yours. That's okay. You don't have to copy my numbers. If you feel like it's going to make it easier for you to do that, then you can do that. That's fine. But I'm not requiring that. Just as long as it's in that corner up there, kind of close, okay? Now, I want you to find the point to, where is it? Oh, here we go. Point in direction of 90 degrees. Since we're using different sprites, and this happens with the baseball also when I'm using it, once we make our shape, it won't necessarily stop and face in the 90-degree direction, and we needed to do that to make the shape the exact shape that we want it to be. So after I've got my go-to location and my point in direction location, we want to set up our drawing tools. Now to set up our drawing tools, we're going to come over here to where our blocks are. We're going to scroll down to the very bottom until there's no more blocks. And below the last one where you can create blocks, we have our extensions. So we're going to click on extensions, and we're going to see this. This is where a while back I talked about all the different things you can add. These are coding blocks you can add to do specific things. We want the pin. So when I click on the pin, and now the thing with these extensions, they're only going to work in the program you're using, like this one. If I do another new one, I'm not going to have the pins. It's kind of sad. I wish they would stay, but I don't really know why they don't. So now we're going to set up our pin. Pause this for a moment. Sorry. Okay, so now we're down here with our pins. We need to use the one that says pin down, because at the moment our sprite would not have his imaginary marker down. So I have to tell him to put it down. So it's like putting your pencil onto the paper, and our pen is invisible unless we set the pen color. And to set the pen color, if you click on the color box here, you can change the colors. It's any color you want. And besides establishing your pen color, you have to set the size. So we want to set size, not change. Changing if you're doing different things, set size. One's very thin, and this is something you can change. I'm going to do a 5 just to be general. But the thicker the line you want, the higher the number goes. All right, so what we have here is just to get everything set up. Our location, our direction, and getting our pen ready to draw. Now we have to actually do the coding. And I said S because we're going to do a square. So we're going to code it just like we would in code.org. We're going to come over to controls, find a repeat block with a number, and bring that over. Now if we look on our page on a square has 4 sides. So we're going to do a repeat of 4, and I'm not going into a lot of detail because we've done this in code.org, and I know you guys remember that. We're only going to put in 1 block for a move forward and 1 turn block. Now, even though we haven't moved forward, it doesn't actually say move forward in motions. It says move 10 steps. You can consider the steps to be a pixel, just like it was in code.org. We just call it steps here because a lot of the sprites are like little people or animals, so they're taking steps. So you're going to bring this and put it inside, and then I'm going to use this turn left. Now we're going to change this here. We have to change the degree to make our shape. And if you look on the page, it tells us our right and left turns, what that needs to be, the degree. It's 90 for a rectangle. And I know it's 90 for the angle, but we don't want to turn the angles. The angle is what it creates after it makes that turn. We're making a 90-degree turn to get a nice right angle. Let's change. Well, we'll see what happens when we do this. When we're through drawing, we're going to go back to our pins. We've had the pin down. We want to bring the pin up so it doesn't draw any extra lines. So now we get it all. We're going to test it. So I'm going to press my letter S. And now I can barely see my square. That's because I only did 10 steps or 10 pixels. I'm going to If I only double it, it's not going to be much bigger. I'm just going to go ahead and pump it up to 50. Now I need to erase this. And they have an erase all block here. If I bring this over, I can tap it and erases everything. I can give it an event block to erase everything because we do want to erase it. And then I'm going to test it again. I just changed my move 50 steps and I'm going to see what happens. So that's a lot nicer. So right now you can take a few minutes, change this and change your pen size. Now if I make the pen size, I'm going to go up to 20. We'll see what that does. So you can see how much thicker the line is. You can almost go large enough probably that if you would make a solid. See, if I did at 50, you'll notice the corners aren't exactly square, but that's okay. The larger I went. If I'm going to go back down to a 5, they're square. The larger I get, and they look a little rounded here. I went to a 3. It looks more square. So I'm not worried about how exact that is. All right, so that's making one shape. Now, if we want to make another shape somewhere else, we're going to go through the same process, but we're going to move our sprite somewhere else. And it doesn't matter where. Now, we can go through the exact same process, decide what shape. I think I'll do a triangle. I'm going to do it step by step. Bring over. When you click the space key, I'm going to make a triangle. So I'm going to make it a T. I have my sprite is here. It's in a different spot, so I have a new go-to, a brand new go-to location. Because I don't want my triangle right on top of here. I want to possibly show them all. So I got to do all of this and set it up the same, pointing in the correct direction. It's new XY location. I need to do a pin down, set the color, and a pin size. You can do the same color, you can do a different color. I'll do a different color just so you can see. All right. Go. Match that one. So this is just setting up your sprite and the pin. This code here makes the shape. So I need a repeat block again with the number. Since I'm making a triangle and a triangle has 3 sides, I'm going to make that a 3. I'm going to go up, to my motion blocks. Drag this up. Bring over the moving steps, which remember, this is the same as a move forward in code.org or when we're writing stuff. And I'm going to do a point direction. Oh, no, what am I thinking? Sorry about that. I need a turn. Now, I don't want 15 degrees, so I have to look on my sheet, and to make a triangle, I have to turn 120 degrees. I already know this 10 is pretty small, so I'm going to make that a 50 also. Because I really like the size of the square overall, so I think a triangle would be nice. And then the last block we don't want to forget is the pin up, because if we don't do pin up and we keep doing more shapes and we're touching numbers, it'll drag a line. And what I'm going to do is not put it here, and I'll show you. So now I'm going to do my letter T, and I have a triangle. Now I'm going to clear all of my, I'll answer your question in just a moment. I'm going to show you what happens if I don't have the pin down, the pin up right here. If I decide to do my triangle first, there's my triangle. And then I'm going to press my S. My pins that kept drawing across here. So to not have that, I add pin up to the bottom. So I'm going to bring all of those up. I'll erase everything, make my triangle, make my S. So I did the triangle first and then the square so you can see that I don't have this. All right, I'm going to pause the recording and answer questions in class. All right, and now I'm going to show you a shortcut. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the white part here, and I'm going to clean up my blocks. And what it does, it just lines everything up so I have some space to work. So we've done 2 of these where we just one block at a time. Let's make it easy. We know how to do one block. I want to make a new sprite. This is putting right there. I'm going to right click on my code here. Well, I get a pop-up that says duplicate. When I click on that, it gives me the exact same copy of the code. And I need to make 4 changes. I'm going to make a octagon. So I'm going to change my S to an O. That's change number 1. I moved my sprite. So I have a new XY location here. So I'm going to manually change it right here. And it doesn't matter where you put your sprite, it's going to give you that XY. All of this is the same. If you want to change your color, you can. But now I'm just going to make 2 more changes. If I'm making an octagon, I need to repeat more than 4 times. I need to repeat 8 times according to my sheet, and that's because an octagon has 8 sides. I don't want to turn it at a 90-degree angle because that's just going to keep going in the shape of a square. I need to make a 45-degree turn to make an octagon. So I'm going to change that to 45. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4 changes. Now to test it, I'm going to tap O, and there's my octagon. And of course, depending on if you want to change the color or the size of the pen, you can. But all I had to do was right-click, duplicate, I'll show you right there, and then make those changes. And I don't want them. All right, so I'm going to pause, let everybody practice that. Then we're going to talk about a nested loop to make a series of shapes. All right, we're going to learn how to do nested loops. So I'm going to clean this all up, and I'm going to erase my board. So what I'm going to do is just move my sprite somewhere up here. This is my square blocks. I'm going to do squares. Whatever coding you have up there, it doesn't matter what shape. This is going to work no matter what shape you have. So I'm going to right click and duplicate my code. I'm going to kind of starting to run out of stuff. I'm going to say N for nested loops. You can call it whatever you want. So, and I'm pretty okay with this location because I know it was up here at the top. I can change it to this one, but I'm going to do it by itself. So, or I can move it down. It's wherever you want to make your nested loops. We're going to make a shape, multiple shapes going all the way across. I'll go ahead and change mine just in case I want to show everything I can, but I'm not too worried about that. All right, so I duplicated that. I am going to move that down, get it out of the way, just so you see this. This is going to make one shape. I'll show you just like that. I want to have 4 squares going across. Now, whenever we were doing this, when we created our snowflakes in our other shapes, we always had to jump back to the beginning with the snowflakes. But remember, you first had to jump forward, make your shape again, and jump forward. Well, we don't have a jump forward, but we have the move. So I'm not changing anything else here, but I'm going to scroll down, get this out of the way. I had a pin up. So once he finished that, his pin's up. He's not going to make another square yet. I want him to get over here. We know this is 50 across because we determined that. So if I double it, it'll put him a whole square width away. So I'm going to bring over the move 10 steps here, but I'm going to change that to 100 because if I double 50. So whatever number you have here, if you have 40, make it 80. If you have 30, make it 60. If you want to make it 100, if it's more, that's fine. Double this number to move him over. If you wanted to overlap, you could do that, but I'm not overlapping it now. So, let me show you what happens. Let me clear it. Make my end, see how he jumps? Now I want him to draw a shape. I'm going to put the pin down block. Pin down. Now this is when I'm going to nest it. I'm nesting only this part. I come over to control, bring over the repeat, drop it there. Oh, I need all of this inside. All right. So when it gets done, it's going to repeat this. Draw a square, pick up the pin, move forward, put down the pin, and repeat. So I am going to erase everything. Here's the drum roll if it works. Okay. What did I do wrong? I'm going to problem solve this. I got my 3 squares. Oh, right here, look at this. I got my repeat mixed up. This needs to be a 4. That needs to be a 4. Clear that. And there we go. So that's where I found my bug in the program. I had a repeat of 10 instead of a repeat of 4. So I've got a nested loop. I don't want to nest all of it because remember we established our beginning location here. I only wanted to nest this part. All right. So I want you guys to practice that on your own. This is the kind of things I would have on a test. I might give you the code and have you read it and tell me what it makes. I might show you the code and the picture, and you got to find the bug in the program, or I might just give you the instructions. I want you to create a 2D shape, and I want it to be nested, and you have a series of 4 or 5. Okay? Any questions? We'll work on that, but otherwise, just watch the video again and stop and pause when you need to.